Oh my god, this is so good. My name is Dora, and welcome to episode 2 of this series where we build your personal brand from the ground up. Today we're talking about my favorite thing, which is strategy. So if you've been feeling stuck and don't really know where to start, then let this video be your blueprint. As per usual, grab a cup of coffee, grab a notepad, and make sure to like and subscribe because this video series is completely free and is so much better than having to spend $99
Buy my $99 course or you will die.
So what I'm gonna do is take a really big step back and ask the question, why does strategy even matter in personal branding? And to be honest, if you're creating content with zero strategy, all you're doing is creating noise. And in 2025, social media is loud. If you wanna grow, if you wanna get noticed, and if you wanna make people care, you need clarity, consistency, and a very, very clear direction. I like to use this analogy where personal branding without a strategy is basically like going on a road trip without using like a GPS. Like you need to figure out where you're gonna go, otherwise you're just going to be guessing, right? We want to really eliminate the guesswork when it comes to building a strategy. Now, you can create content without a strategy, just like I did when I first started on social media. And you might get somewhere, like I did, but you won't get very far. For the first 3 years on social media, I didn't have a strategy. I was just posting whatever I wanted, whenever I felt like it. And to some extent, it did work. My current goal right now is to create a stronger community and get more followers. And if I stuck with the strategy I was using a couple years ago, I would not be getting anywhere. Again, I'm gonna dive back to my scientific background. It's really important to understand that scientifically our brains are wired to pay attention to patterns. And the more consistent and the more clear your content is, the better your audience is gonna be able to recognize and remember you. That is called the mere exposure effect. This is the psychological phenomenon where people develop a preference simply because they recognize something. So your strategy is your roadmap. Your strategy tells your brain what to make, and it tells your audience what to expect. And the great thing is that it helps your content work for you, not against you. Before I jump into the step-by-step strategy that I use, let's take a step back and talk about the real stuff, the mental blocks, because you will get them. You will get, I'm sorry, that was a little rude. I'll calm down. Not even like a couple minutes ago, I was on a meeting with a content creator who I went to high school with, and she and I had a conversation about all of the mental roadblocks that we experience in our field. Like my friend Mary Beth, a lot of people don't get stuck because they're not sure what to post. They get stuck because they feel like they're not interesting enough. They get stuck because they're afraid of feeling judged. They're afraid of not living up to the expectations that others have created for them. And it is a really, really slippery slope. I just want you to take a step back and understand that people connect with people. They don't connect with perfection. Right now, content that is working in 2025 is relatable, it's honest, it's useful, and it connects with other people. A lot of my favorite content creators who I'll put on the screen here are really relatable, not because they're editing perfectly, not because they're posting consistently, but because their messaging speaks directly to things that I relate to. A lot of studies in social psychology shows that authenticity increases trust and perceived expertise. That basically means how qualified you think I am to teach you something about a topic or to express my opinion. People are more likely to trust creators who show vulnerability and imperfection rather than those that appear overly polished. So if you're stuck in your head and you feel like your strategy isn't good enough, remember that people don't want perfect. They want real. They want someone that they can connect to. They want someone to guide them. They want someone to inspire them or just make them feel seen. And that could be you. Now that we've talked about what might be holding you back from creating content, I want to jump right into easiest ways to help you create content. So now we're going to talk strategy. Strategy is not just posting every day. It's not just using trending sounds or posting when your audience is most active. The way I think about strategy is that strategy is essentially a system and clarity in your content. So essentially, I'm going to break this down based on 2 creators who I believe have really mastered the art of content creation and strategy. And those individuals are these 2 creators. Now, I have personally taken a look at their online courses and their content playbooks, and I'm going to summarize what is in them right here. Adley's content creation philosophy is something that I really admire. She teaches that content should come from a repeatable system, not just random guesswork. She essentially advises you to not just create content, but to document your journey. And I think that that is a great lens to look through when you are creating content. When you're creating content, I want you to ask yourself questions like, what are you working on? What are you struggling with? What kind of barriers did you have to jump over to reach your goals? So I know in the first video of this series, I talked about content pillars, but Adley tells content creators to do something a little different, and that is to create content buckets. Content pillars are essentially what you're going to talk about, your why, your who, your how, whereas content buckets are themes that you're going to return to. These can be things like your personal journey, the behind the scenes challenges that you experience, things in your niche that you are an expert on. And another content bucket that I personally love is showcasing your personality. That's showcasing your humor, your lifestyle, rants, anything like that. Those are all content buckets that you should be prioritizing when creating your content. Essentially, what she suggests is when you're creating content, you want to rotate those buckets. So if you're not sure what to post, think about one of those buckets and fill it. The last thing that Adley really suggests is that you batch your content. She doesn't just post whenever she feels like it. All of her content is structured and scripted so that her content is like an oiled machine. This is a pretty good strategy to use if you get overwhelmed by content very easily. Now, the next creator I'm going to talk about is Jun Yuh on Instagram. This content creator is super tactical, and he does have a course and content strategy playbook is available to be purchased. I did you a favor and I bought it myself and dove into the course. His strategy is a little bit different. He suggests that you should be building a theme that your audience can recognize. The way that he does this is through using a very similar set of hooks, using a content series, and a consistent editing style. He also will use different types of content on social media to get him different results. For example, he uses Reels to reach massive amounts of people and brand new audiences. He uses stories to connect directly with his community. And he uses carousel posts to get more engagement and shares and saves. And so what you can essentially learn from him is to create a content strategy that is consistent and speaks directly to your audience. If you learn anything from him, the best thing you can do is to create a content strategy that is consistent. These two content creators show us an example of why working harder doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get better results. These content creators are showing us what consistency does. So once again, it is not about working harder and pouring hours and hours into content creation. It is about working smarter. And that is why your strategy is going to be the most important thing when you start your personal branding journey. You need to start even if it's messy. You honestly don't need a perfect system to begin your content creation journey. In fact, you never are going to have a perfect system at the beginning. All you need is a starting line. If the things that I talked about gave you clarity, then your next step is very simple. Pick one content format that you want to try out this week. When it comes to strategy, it all boils down to systems and clarity. And if you want more support, more videos, more information where I summarize content creators and what they do online, then hit that subscribe button, because in my next episode, I'm going to teach you how to start creating your first 10 pieces of content online. So you've got this. Let's build your brand one post at a time.